Hello Manka learners! Welcome back! Today, we will learn about the art of making and using compost. A compost pile can be as plain or as fancy as you want. You don't even need a bin to make compost. You can just dig a hole in your yard. But if you want something more durable, consider acquiring a compost bin. In this lesson, you will learn how to make your own compost bin. After this lesson, you should be able to prepare a compost bin, properly care for your compost pile, identify reasons for possible problems regarding your compost pile, explain how you can use compost, and identify the benefits of composting. How to prepare your own compost bin. Remove the grass cover of the area where you will put your compost pile to allow direct contact between the materials and soil microorganisms. For a compost bin, you can choose from numerous commercial composters or construct your own from wooden planks, concrete blocks, use freight pallets, hardware cloth, barrel, or chicken wire. Let us say you are going to use a barrel as your compost bin. Here are the steps. 1. Remove the bottom part of the barrel and punch holes all over the barrel. 2. Prevent rats and animals from invading your barrel. Put a screen around it. 3. Place a barrel in an area where there's a good drainage system. This is to ensure that the area will not stay wet for a long time, even when it rains. A shaded area is also desirable for best results. If possible, do not put the pile or structure near trees. Tree roots may be attracted to the loose, moist organic materials in the bottom of your pile. During summer, the roots of some trees may invade the lower area of the bin and make the compost difficult to dig and use. 4. Start layering. Layering means placing the organic materials systematically inside your compost bin. First layer. Put 3 to 4 inches of dried branches and twigs on top of the soil surface. This material will allow the air to circulate around the base of the heap. Second layer. Put 6 to 8 of materials rich in carbon in the form of dry leaves, hay, and straw. Third layer. Put 2 to 3 inches of materials rich in nitrogen, like animal manure and fresh leaves. Fourth layer. Repeat the layers until the bin is filled. Scoop out a basin at the top to catch rainwater for use during the summer. This will ensure that your compost pile will be moist even during the hot summer months. 5. Cover the pile. You may want to add a small amount of garden soil. Microbes in the garden soil will speed up decomposition. Layering is done to ensure that enough air and water reach the bottom of the heap. After you have done the initial layering, you no longer need to layer the additional materials. A properly made heap will reach a temperature of about 60 degrees Celsius in 4 to 5 days. At this time, you will notice the pile settling. This is a good sign that your heap is working properly. After 3 to 4 weeks, fork the materials into a new pile, putting the outside of the old heap into the center of the new one. Add water if necessary. It is best to stir your compost a second or third time. The compost should be ready for use within 3 to 4 months. You can make compost even faster by mixing the pile more often. Check the internal temperature regularly. When it decreases substantially, usually after a week or about a week, mix the pile. The compost is ready for use when it turns dark brown, crumbly, and earth-smelling. This means that the compost has already turned into humus. You may also want to have 2 bins. 2 bins are always better where space permits, since one compost pile can be allowed to mature while new materials are being added to the other. You may also decide to dig a hole in your yard instead of making a compost bin. If so, Follow the same guidelines given here about choosing the correct area for your pile. Make sure you dig a pit about 4 feet deep and 1 3/4 feet wide. Then, follow the same procedure for making compost in a bin. Taking care of the pile. Decomposition will take place even if a compost pile is ignored, but at a slower rate. Adding water to maintain moisture and mixing the pile every now and then to improve aeration will speed up the process. To check the moisture content of the pile, squeeze a handful of compost. If a few drops of water can be squeezed out, the moisture is just right. If drops don't fall, it is too dry. If water trickles out, it is too wet. The pile should be covered with plastic or a similar material during wet weather to avoid excessive moisture buildup. Remember also to check the temperature of your pile regularly with a thermometer. A properly built pile should develop a temperature of at least 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius at the center in about a week during summer and in about a month during the rainy season. When that temperature is reached, the pile should be opened. Any compacted material should be loosened and mixed or stirred so that the materials previously on top and in the sides are moved to the center. Piles may be mixed by slicing through them with a spade and turning each slice over. The main objective in mixing is to aerate the pile and shift the materials from the outside closer to the center, where they may also be heated and decomposed. As the materials decompose, the pile should heat up and shrink, eventually becoming no more than half its original height. Often, the pile's volume may shrink by 70 to 80%. Diagnosing composting problems. Symptom 1. The pile is producing a bad odor. Diagnosis: the pile may be too wet, too tight, or both. Mix it to loosen and allow more air to circulate. If the pile is too wet, mix it but at the same time add dry, new materials. A bad odor may also indicate that animal waste are in the compost pile. Symptom 2. No decomposition seems to be taking place. Diagnosis: the pile is too dry. Moisten the materials while mixing the pile. Symptom 3. The compost is moist enough and the center is warm, but not hot enough for complete breakdown. Diagnosis: the pile may be too small. Try adding more materials to make a larger pile. Mix the old ingredients that may have only slightly decomposed into the new pile. Another possibility is that your pile may be lacking in nitrogen. Add more organic materials that are rich in nitrogen, like animal manure, fresh grass clippings, eggshells, etc. Symptom 4. The heap is moist, has no bad odor, and is slightly decomposed but still not hot enough. Diagnosis: there is not enough nitrogen available for proper decomposition. Mix nitrogen sources such as fresh grass clippings, manure, or fertilizer into the pile. Now you know how to make a compost bin and how to treat some possible illnesses of your compost pile. The only question left is, if everything goes right and the compost turns into humus, what's next? How to use the humus. You'll know that a compost has turned into humus when its appearance becomes crumbly and it smells like rich soil with no hint of rotting odor. Another indicator is when you can no longer recognize the original composted items. At this point, you're ready to use the compost to benefit your garden. In some cases, screening compost through a 1-inch wire mesh will help sort out incompletely decomposed materials before use. Twigs decompose slowly, and if they have become a part of the debris, they may have to be removed from finished compost and returned to the heap. You can add the humus to your garden soil. Humus is also very suitable for potting houseplants or planting many types of seeds. Humus is an excellent top dressing for flowers, vegetables, shrubs, and trees. Benefits of composting? If you practice composting, what will you get in return? Composting has several benefits. It improves soil structure. With the addition of compost, sandy soil will be able to hold water better and clay soil can be drained faster. It reduces soil erosion and water runoff. Plant roots can penetrate compost-rich soil more easily and therefore hold the soil more firmly in place. It provides food for earthworms, soil insects, and beneficial microorganisms. It assists the soil in holding nutrients, thus lessening the need for chemical fertilizers. It improves plant health, making them less susceptible to diseases and insect pests, and thereby reducing the need for pesticides. It reduces the waste which might otherwise fill up landfills. Leaves, grass, and debris often found on the streets and which tend to clog drains and street gutters can instead be composted. It saves you money you would have otherwise used to buy commercial soil conditioners. Let's remember, to make a compost bin using a barrel, 1. Remove the bottom part of the barrel and punch holes around the barrel. 2. Put a screen around the barrel. 3. Place the barrel in a shaded area where the drainage is good. 4. Arrange the materials in layers inside the barrel. 5. Cover the pile. If you decide to dig a compost pit, it should be at least 4 feet deep and 1 3/4 feet wide. The compost is ready to use when it turns dark brown, crumbly, and earth-smelling. Make sure that your compost bin or pit remains moist and has enough heat at the center to speed up decomposition. The problems you may encounter in composting may be mostly due to lack of water, air, and moisture. To use the humus, add or mix it to your garden soil. Composting has several benefits. Foremost among these is the improvement of the condition of the soil. That's the end of our lesson on making and using compost. See you on our new module, Maca learners!